All
Hello,
right.
everyone. Hello. Hi there, Shelley. Well, it is getting it done with gratitude, but at a slightly different time because guess what? Shelley and I were saying only this morning after we had our little blimp, the minute that we've decided and committed to come in live with you every Thursday morning, we seem to have had some sort of a test. But you know what? We are grateful and we are using this as a practical practice of gratitude, right, Shelley? This is what this
Absolutely.
is. So, we're your host, Karen Williams Thompson. I am a life and business strategist, and what I do is I help women get absolutely clear on what is it they truly want, identify what is getting in the way, what's keeping them stuck, and I help them create powerful, intentional plans so that they can achieve the goals that they have set, which are in alignment with their visions for themselves, and they can feel that success, that fulfillment, and that joy. And what better way to get all of that done than with gratitude? So here's my friend Shelly Ann, our gratitude guide. Shelly?
Hi, hi, hi. So today and today's experiences and all the things that adding up really has me testifying about the benefits of gratitude. So, what I do is to help people build that habit of gratitude that allows them to build the resistance and the resilience necessary to move through challenges like the one we had this morning. We were having such an awesome conversation, and then we realized it's not going out and nobody else heard it. And that was a moment when several things could have happened, including curling up in a corner with tears. But we're talking about getting it done with gratitude and really, embracing the concept of being grateful. Things happen, but what do we do? How do we approach the experiences? What are our responses? That's what is important, how we respond. And responding with gratitude allows us to be present, step out of whatever is happening, and remember that there is more to everything, more to life, more to relationships, more to work, more to everything than what we see and hear in any given moment. So this is like, exhibit A with gratitude because listen, I almost cried this morning and I thought, "Oh wow, is this another lesson so that I could have an experience to say things happen, things go wrong, and you could plan, you could have your strategies, you could set every milestone, goal, step, whatever, and still something that you didn't think of can happen." And let me give an experience. This is my friend I met yesterday after a long time we had been out of contact. She was telling me that she was doing a presentation, and she was her presentation, it was a series of presentations, and another lecturer went ahead of her, and hers ended up last for some reason, and she's looking at the lecturer, walking through the crowd and speaking, and she's thinking, wow, I would really like to be that kind of speaker, but I don't have that in me. And after she did her thing and the presentation ended, the other lecturer was her friend, came up to her and said, "Girl, I couldn't see the screen. So I had to walk down close into everybody so that I could be closer to the monitor to see the screen." And I asked her, I said, "You're serious?" She said, "Yeah." So here I am looking at this and thinking, oh, look at the poise and look at all these things, when it really was a stopgap because the lecturer could not see the screen. And she told me, she said, when I had that presentation to do, I got up like, so early in the morning. I had this idea in my head what could go wrong. So I got up really early to prepare for that. And then as I was leaving, I decided to print my notes just in case I couldn't see the screen. And she was doing all this thing. And in case, the electricity goes or whatever, she was just so trying to plan every single thing. And then she didn't even think about the possibility of physically not being able to engage because of a host of other reasons. And I told her, I say, yeah, we could think of a million things, but that million and one is the thing that could happen to throw us off.
Yeah,
And that's
that is.
why, yeah, that's why building the momentum and the habit of gratitude, because we can't think of everything. We can't solve every single problem. We don't know what's going to happen.
So true. And this month we're talking about motherhood and gratitude. Here in the Caribbean, we celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday. And it's a day when so many persons will be celebrating their moms or the mother figures in their lives. There will be, the lunches, the services. There will be all kinds of activities. But we must also remember that there are those among us who, for different reasons, will not be celebrating or will not feel inclined to celebrate. Their mom may have passed, as in my case, my mom died in December, and I truly cannot even begin to conceptualize this Sunday without her present. But there are others as well. There are persons who may physically have their moms, but through illness, things like dementia, things like Alzheimer's, they may not be in the present mind that they are accustomed to. And practicing the gratitude and making it a habit is so important, especially in times like this. And I know that when I speak about grief, still being in that space myself, it's not the first thing that you think about. You don't think about, oh, I need to be practicing gratitude. You really just want to curl up, have your cry, and just be in your moment. I was fortunate, I have Shelly in my side and back pocket. So, when I called her and told her what happened, she was like right there. So encouraging and supportive. And it really makes a difference because grief, like gratitude, is a journey. And it's
Yeah.
something that is unique to each person. Everyone is going to do it differently. It's going to mean something different and unique to each person. But what we do know is that when we focus on what is the positive, when we are able to say and reflect on the good things and the happy things, moments of laughter, the little things that were just unique to your mom or that special person in your life, what it does, it allows that switch to happen in your brain, in your mind, where you then move out of, why is this happening to me? Why do I feel so low? Why am I so upset? Everything. And you actually move into that sage part of your brain where the gratitude is the paramount thing, and it's the thing that
Yeah.
helps get you there. And when you start to implement that, after a while, you don't see it the same time, but you start to feel better, and it allows you to have that shift. And so I think that when we talk about gratitude, the more we are able to share with you how gratitude can be applied to anything and everything in your life.
Yes, and that's, when we title the program Getting It Done with Gratitude, the initial thing for me was thinking about productivity, getting tasks done and all these things. But we can take that step back and look at just life and living and having that feeling of fulfillment throughout life. Because as you mentioned, in the case of, Mother's Day coming around, and all these different situations that may make it difficult, a really difficult time for some of us. um I personally think about the difference in life stages, and my mom is still around, but the way she used to be is not the way she is right now. And I think about, when I was, in primary school, what Mother's Day was like, when I was in secondary school and even early adulthood, what Mother's Day was like. And now it's a different approach to things because we're the way she receives it is different and the interaction is different, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't see that as a sense of loss as well, but
Mm-hmm.
it is because things have changed, and many of the things that we loved and appreciated aren't there anymore physically,
Mm-hmm.
but we do have the memory of it. So in both cases, whether it's, that mom is not around because she has passed on, or she is not in the same mental space as she was because of some illness, there is still that sense of loss there, and we can look back and remember all the beauty that was there. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
it it's a big deal, and I didn't even realize how much of a big deal it was until one day, my mom, she's staying at me right now, and we were talking about something and she laughed. And it wasn't one of those, yeah, whatever kind of laugh. So, sometimes people laugh just because they think they should, not that the difference between that genuine from your gut kind of laugh. And she gave one of those, and I thought, I haven't heard that in a while. And that's when I realized how much I missed from the way she used to be. And it made me think of appreciating everything that is still here, and every opportunity that I still have, even while I remember the things that are no longer present. And I wrote it down because it it made a difference. And I, at one point, I had the notion of writing this book called Living in the Gray, because we look at gray as a sort of in between. It's not black, it's not white. Nobody knows
Mm.
exactly, the combination of it. And when it comes to our lives, we talk about gray areas and those types of things, the ambiguity. There's a lot of that sometimes. And the only way to really move through and process and survive those kinds of things is when you have the little bits of joy and the pockets of sunlight to hold on to. And
Mm-hmm.
gratitude for me is what really kindles all of that. It really, really does.
Yeah, it's about focusing on the positive things. It's about reflecting on that love and that connection. And I know one of the things that you talk about, Shelly, all the time is when you're doing gratitude is to say it right, say it loud, and say
Yes.
it always. That's the mantra for us when it comes to gratitude. Say it right, say it loud, and say it always. And the always is one that really sticks with me because as a life and business strategist, I am always encouraging persons to take action. And with gratitude, we're encouraging you to do it always. So when you combine the two, there is no wonder why there is the success that there is when persons combine practicing gratitude with anything else that they want to accomplish in life. So
Yeah,
when you focus
absolutely.
on right, yeah, when you focus on that, when you are able to identify ways you can do it, is something that Shelly mentioned just now. Journaling, you can capture those moments there, and they are then there for you whenever you need them. You can go, you can pick up your journal, you can read them, and you can be reminded of those moments. And the other thing is to go with the flow, is what I say. And similar to grief, like Shelley talked earlier about things coming up and how things with her friend who was doing the presentation, and she clearly went with the flow and she really just made it work by going into the audience so that she could get closer to the screen. But things happen with you, and so even as you may be grieving, even as you may be sad because things are not how they are, embrace it, go with it, and then just make it into the moment that it can be. Don't try to dismiss it or think that it's not relevant. Go with it and embrace that time. And that leads us nicely into something that we both feel very passionately about, which is being gracious with yourself,
Oh,
being
yes.
kind to yourself, being gentle with yourself. Sometimes, or a lot of times, we are our harshest critic. We feel we should be doing it this way, have to do it that way. And one of the things we like to encourage is that you are really gracious and kind. Show yourself some compassion, and gratitude allows you to do that.
Yes, I think when we think about the concept of imposter syndrome and the idea of anxiety and all these situations and feelings and experiences we have which cloud our thinking and really cause us to focus on the negative and what's missing, what we don't have, what we no longer get to experience, that can really bring us into that gray and the gray clouds and the whole feeling as if everything is heavy. And when you begin to look at gratitude and what existed and what you got to experience and the memories that you have, you can begin to shift into thinking. And then you can even take that further to look at what is positive that you are experiencing right now. So you can start with the memories and then bring it to the present. And that really allows us to I guess add some color to the gray,
Yeah.
move the clouds away, so to speak. And I'm always fascinated by it because sometimes when I talk about gratitude like this and I get all excited, I know there are people who would say things like, you can't force the positivity. You're trying to pretend that things, are okay when they're not. But gratitude is not about that. It's really about appreciating what actually exists. So we're not trying to create any imaginary situation to make
Mm,
ourselves feel better. We're looking at what actually exists and recognizing what we have to be grateful for. So
yeah.
in the case of mothers and in the situations where there is some pain or there's hurt and that sense of loss happening, thinking about other people in your lives who would
Mm,
have been there and presented themselves and given the love and given the hope and the hug and all those things. So it's really about appreciating what exists. So what we want to exist might not exist anymore, but what exists, if we look at it carefully, we would be able to find something that allows us to move forward. And the experience we had this morning, um we didn't want that to exist.
no, no, absolutely not.
But in looking at it, I mean, there are lots of negative things that we could, think about it, but the choice to see it as an opportunity to learn and to share an experience that could help others, that's a choice. And that
Mm,
choice comes from the support and the helpfulness of others, because you mentioned that situation where when your mom passed and how we communicated. And even this morning when I was just about to flip out and freak out, you know the calm way in which you said, okay, so then we're doing it this evening, just just like that. And I thought, oh yeah, we could do it. So sometimes we're caught up in our own minds and we need that, you know, person on the outside who could just be there and
yes.
express. anything, something that gives us the encouragement. So, and this is why we do these lives and why we're so committed. If it didn't happen this morning, it's happening this evening. If it didn't happen right away, we're recording it, we're sending it, because building that habit of gratitude is a commitment, and it
Yes.
takes a commitment. So it's not just, when I feel like being grateful, I am. It's a commitment to see and find things to be grateful for. It's very active, very, very active.
All the time. And something that I've heard you say before, which I really want to mention now too, is that we don't have to do it alone. And I think that's
Yeah.
really what came out in both of those examples. You being there for me when mom died, my calm this morning when everything was going upside down. And I always remember that you said, gratitude, you do not have to do it alone. And
Yeah.
it's sometimes we think when you said just now about getting in our head, that's what really brought it back to mind, because we tell ourselves that we need to be on top of it, get it all done, not ask for help. And especially as women, we really put on our little superhero cape and we go out there and we are ready. We are ready. And it's important. And this is where the graciousness and the compassion to oneself really comes in, because you don't have to do it alone.
Mhm. Mhm.
Someone can be there to hold that space for you while you are not able to hold it for yourself. You don't have to do it alone. And it's the same thing with a lot of other things, whether it's going through the grieving process, whether it is gratitude, whether it is achieving goals. You don't have to go through things in life on your own. Sometimes we choose to, but those are because of the stories that we've told ourselves, and not that they are based in truth. And so that's something that I remember, because you had this story about this friend of yours and you used to play, I call it a prank, when
Yes.
when she was doing a class, and it turned out that it was really something that just gave her that pickup.
Yes, yes. I don't know, and I hadn't thought about that for so many years, but I bumped into her yesterday, and after we parted ways, I remember that mischief. And this was, we were both lecturers at the same university, and what I used to do was, stand outside her classroom, just out of view of the students, but she could see me, and I would make faces at her to make her laugh because I always thought she used to look so serious, but we had these long, awesome conversations, so I knew the type of person she was, but sometimes I just felt, a little bit of laughter here and there. And I asked her, I said, "Do you remember that?" She said, "Yes, I remember." But, sometimes I think many of us go through life and we think as you said, like we need to have it all together. And, we need to show that we're adults and we're adulting by doing it alone. But human beings are not really meant to, part of our whole makeup is community. That's why
Hmm.
social media is so huge, because people get to communicate, they get to share, they get to interact with people from all over the world. And that's
Hmm.
why it's and you have so many different apps and so many different platforms, and everybody's on this one, everybody's on that one, some people are on 5 and 6 different apps,
Sure.
because we're not really meant to do things alone. And I think during that conversation, what I had said was gratitude is not a solo sport. We're not
Hmm.
meant to play it alone, because aside from saying it right, part of saying it right is recognizing the power in the words and how words affect us. But then when we look at the saying it loud, it means getting the gratitude outside of your head and bringing it into the physical space. And doing that, journaling is part of it, but there's also sharing it, telling someone that you appreciate them, telling someone that you're happy that they're in your life, that you're welcoming them into this space. Um, Something as simple as somebody opens a door for you, you smile at them and you say thank you. You walk into a room and you greet, might not be verbally like hello everybody, but you nod and you greet and you acknowledge other people's presence. all of that is part of getting it into the loud where it's heard and it's seen. And that is where, it really becomes a community sport and a group sport. It's no longer just me telling myself that I'm grateful for these things. I'm saying it loud, and I'm making it known, and I'm letting those in my space recognize and see that I'm grateful for them.
And the beautiful thing about that is that it has an impact on them as well. From
Yeah.
them consistently seeing you showing up like this all the time, it's like when they tell you in the airplane, put on your mask first and then help anybody else. It's the same thing when you are practicing the gratitude for yourself, when you are making it a daily habit, then it starts to really, as we would say, rub off on the other
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
around you, and they start to feel that even without realizing what is happening, it starts to affect them, and they too start to experience a shift and to see a shift. And this is really the power behind gratitude, because it's like a gift that just keeps on giving. It just doesn't peter out. It just keeps on giving. And once you keep saying it right, saying it loud, saying it always, it will keep on giving and going and going and going. And that is how we get it done with gratitude. So,
Yeah.
if you take nothing else from what we say today, we really would love you to think about yourself with kindness. Think about yourself with graciousness. Think about yourself with compassion. And start to look at all of the ways that you can really embrace gratitude into your life. Where are the areas that you can begin to make this a habit? What are the things
Hmm.
that you can get up on a daily basis and look around and find at least three or four things you must be able to find that you are really just grateful for, even if it's like a friendship, or like Shelley said earlier, someone opens the door for you and you just come in and you say thank you. Well, I know when I'm going to the mall and I get a part right to the front where I want, I always say thank you. I am just be so happy. So little things like that, and you keep putting it out there, and it really just has a spin off effect. So,
Yeah.
what else would you like to share, Shelley, as we bring it to a wrap? What is the takeaway from today? If they take nothing else away from us and how much fun we have bringing this life to everybody, what shall we leave them with?
Um, Gratitude does not have to be expressed only for the big things. When you
Mhm.
have gratitude for the little things, you realize that the little things add up as well. So that even if it's just one drop in the container at a time, after a while, the water
Absolutely.
level is going to
Filling
start
up.
rising and it will
Yeah.
fill up. So the little things and looking for those, small moments, and there are many of them every single day. And when
It's
it comes to the motherhood and, being a mother, experiencing the love of a mother, and then, where there's loss concerned, the little things, the laughter, the way, I remember always coming home and mom in the kitchen and what the house would smell like. And I really appreciated, those little things. But, at the time, I didn't think of it because that's just life. These are just things that
mm,
you do. But all of those things are beautiful moments that we could be grateful for as well. Yeah, so that's the thing. If nothing else from the experiences and everything that we've shared, the little things add up. So don't be afraid to be grateful for the little things as well.
and as long as we have no technical issues, and even if we do, we'll be right here next Thursday morning, 7 a.m., getting it done with gratitude.
Yes,
Absolutely.
indeed. Yes, indeed. And if not Thursday morning, Thursday evening, we are committed to this And we are making it our habit of sharing gratitude, saying it right, saying it loud, and saying it
Saying it
always. So,
always.
all right, have a
Absolutely.
good day, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.